What's going on, YouTubers, gamers and hobbyists, and welcome to this special Escape from Colditz edition on my board games playlist. Now this is a game from my distant past. A game that I used to play an almost infinite amount of times with my good friend, and he's actually the first friend I made when I moved from where we used to live in Seaton to Plymouth as a child. He became one of my best friends. But this isn't the actual game we played on, because this is my own copy, but it is the same edition, same artwork, same year basically, edition of the game that we used to play on. Now, in the past I may have talked about Parker games, but I'll reiterate a little bit about it here. Parker Brothers was founded by George S. Parker. Parker's philosophy deviated from the prevalent theme of board game design. He believed board games should be played for enjoyment and did not need to emphasize morals and values, which is obviously what they were based on for a long time. He created his first game called Banking in 1883, where he was banking as a game in which players borrow money from the bank and they try and generate wealth by guessing how well they could do. Sounds a bit dull, well that's what they had at the time. The game includes 160 cards which will tell their failure or success. The game was so popular among family and friends that his brother Charles Parker urged him to publish it. George approached two Boston publishers with the idea but was unsuccessful. Not discouraged, he spent $40 to publish 500 sets of Banking. He eventually sold all but 12 copies, making a profit of $100, which was a lot back in the 1800s. Parker founded his game company, initially called George S. Parker Company, in his hometown of Salem, Massachusetts, in 1883. When George's brother Charles joined the business in 1888, the company's name was changed to its more familiar form. And it goes on, it talks about different, it talks about how Monopoly came to be and that kind of thing. But what I'm interested in here really is this game and its nostalgia. My copy is in relatively good condition. Let's take a look. You open the lid and you're greeted with this, which is the main rules here. Not a lot to it. The Appel roll call formations and the legend for different things on the board itself. The board is huge. Before we come to that, take a look at, well, first of all, the pieces. The dice are a bit worn down now. Black were the Germans, the red were British, I think the blues were American, then you had French, Poland, and wherever, I'm not sure. A little bit about its history, and the cards for the game were all kept in this prisoner's parcel, because they were allowed to have prisoner's parcels back in the day. Let's open up this wonderful board, see if we can see it on the screen here. You've mainly got it here. The layout of Colditz itself, and the object of the game, of course, was to escape from Colditz. Prisoners always started here. The Germans were on these black spots here all around, and the game, it really was a brilliant game, especially for its time. I think it was really good. I don't know what it was. Something about the game captured our imaginations. You had to escape to these. There's about 7 points around the outside of the board in the form of, as you can see here, these little targets here. They're all on the outside, and you had to dig tunnels, use rope, wire cutters. You could pinch the staff car, which was there, and obviously the Germans could arrest you, or even worse, shoot you and kill you. And yeah, many a fond hour was spent playing this beloved game with my friend, and it goes down in my eyes as one of the classics, as one of the absolute classics of the Parker range. For many years, George designed most of the events, or the games rather, himself. He wrote all the rules. Many games are based on important events of the day. Klondike was based on the Alaskan Gold Rush, and War in Cuba was based on the impending Spanish-American War. So, like, you can see why Escape from Colditz is was made and is popular. The game industry was growing, and the company was becoming very profitable. In 1906, Parker Brothers published the game Rook, and it became the best-selling game in the country. During the Great Depression, a time when many companies went out of business, Parker Brothers released a new board game called Monopoly, which is what I was talking about earlier. Although the company had originally rejected the game in 1934, they decided to publish it the next year. It was a success, and the company had difficulty keeping up with demand, and the company continued to grow throughout the next several decades, producing games including Cluedo, released as Clue in North America, Risk, and Sorry. You can see the success of Monopoly because it's got all its various iterations now, and so its popularity just skyrocketed. Parker Brothers marketed its first jigsaw puzzle in 1887. Parker also produced children's puzzles as well as the Climax, Jig-a-Jig, Jigwood, and Paramount Lines. According to Jigsaw Puzzles, an illustrated history and price guide by Andy Williams, Parker Brothers closed the pastime line in the 1950s, and their die-cut puzzles were phased out in the late 1970s. Even after George Parker's death, the company remained family-owned until 1968, when General Mills purchased the company. After this, Parker Brothers produced the first Nerf ball. In the UK, during the 1970s, Parker Brothers was the games division of Palatoy, also a General Mills company, and produced a variety of releases such as Escape from Colditz. In 1977, the company built its headquarters in Beverly, Massachusetts. The company began to produce electronic versions of their popular board games in the late 1970s and early 1980s. At this time, the company ventured into the toy market with the electronic action figure Rom the Space Knight in 1977. Although the toy proved a failure, the licensed comic book published by Marvel Comics ran for years, and after the toy was discontinued. They also produced video games for various systems during the early 1980s, with home ports of many popular arcade games such as Konami's Frogger, Popeye, Gottleby, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Games such as Cuba and Reactor, the first video games based on the Star Wars movies such as The Empire Strikes Back, Jedi Arena, and Death Star Battle, and more. In early 1983, Parker Brothers spent $15 million US establishing a book publishing branch. Their first titles featured the American Greetings franchises Care Bears and Strawberry Shortcake. The brand published 12 titles by February 1984, and sales of these books totaled 3.5 million units. So that's Parker Brothers, and this is the game from my childhood, Escape from Colditz. So there we are, folks. That is my board game Escape from Colditz, and my little nostalgic look back at the fun years and times I had playing it. Well, thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you found this video at least a little bit informative. I always like to throw a little bit of history in with these videos as and when I can, unless of course it's I've already done it before. I'm not sure if I've done it with Parker before, so I just gave a little bit there. But thank you for watching. Remember, all brushes lead to war, and keep those dice rolling, baby. So see you on the next one. Bye for now, folks. Bye bye.